Hi guys, Herbalist40 here and welcome back to the channel. First off, really sorry for the delay. It's been a hectic few days, but as promised I'm going to make sure that today's video is definitely worth the wait. I'm going to be releasing a lot of things that I didn't really want to just yet because I was trying to build up to them, but the problem is that I keep seeing glimpses of people who are a little bit too impatient and they want to skip steps and they just want to get to the end because they're bored and they're fed up, and I just wanted you all to know that I, for one, am not bored, I am not fed up. This kind of takes out a lot of my personal time doing these videos. It takes quite a few hours to get one done. I know they're short, but I'm not really familiar with all this, so yeah, it is quite a bit of hassle for me, but the reason I do it is because I enjoy doing it, and I'm just going to try and once again make it simple, understandable, and at the same time bring you information that is useful and that you yourselves can use. I'm not trying to skip any steps, I'm not trying to force my theories on anyone. I haven't really been too clear about what my theories are so far, and there's a reason for that. It's because I don't want you lot to be concentrating on what I think. I just want you to see what I see. So I'm just going to try and get on with it. I'm going to try and remember to include everything I wanted to because I think it's going to be a bit of a long one today. So keep your minds open and try stay with me for the whole video there. So, to get started, I'm going to give a massive shout out to N64PS4 because this guy basically, he commented on one of my videos about a week ago, and he sent me just basically a link to a Wikipedia page, and I really didn't think that much of it, and I'll explain why, but he sent me a Wikipedia page and there wasn't really a message attached to it, and I looked at it and I didn't really think that much of it, and the reason is because I was convinced that in this particular video he commented on that I knew what I was hearing, and I was wrong. He was right. The problem is it took me quite a while to hook on because you didn't really mention anything along with the link, buddy, so I apologise for the wait, but this next part's for you. So let's just watch the clip again that he commented on so we can understand what I misheard and what he got right. Right, now what I heard initially was let's go, let's go. Not at all. What N64PS4 pointed out was Nazca culture, and I didn't quite hear it at first, but Trevor is actually saying Nazca, Nazca. So I'm just going to switch over to a Wikipedia page for you so we can understand a little bit more about who the Nazca are and why Rockstar would include that in their game. And this is going to be one of my points to people who want to come at me and say you're pathetic, there's nothing to be found, and all sorts of bullshit like that. I don't mind people who want to come at me with constructive criticism and say, Herbalist, in my opinion you're all wrong, there is nothing to be found, but that is just my opinion. Well, I'll have a conversation with you, that's fine, but come at me, call me pathetic, and say you're getting pissed off because I'm not doing the research you think I should be doing. I'm not going to lose my temper on this. This is definitely not a rant video. So anyway, back to the topic, Nazca. So, what we're looking at now is basically what the Nazca are mainly known for. And that is the Nazca lines, and for those of you who don't know, they're basically drawings that are made on the surface of the earth in Peru, and these drawings are quite huge. Some of them are the size of football stadiums, some lines go on for more than 15 miles, and they're only really visible from a bird's eye point of view, and they were made by the ancient population, the Nazca. Well, as scientists believe, but the point being here is it kind of lends theory to my view about perspective. Is just don't limit yourself to what you see on the ground. You're going to have to take your views elsewhere than just what's visible in the game. and I'm going to make my point quite clear in just a little while. But I want to point out a few things as well about the Nazca, because after quite a bit of research I have found out that there are a lot of links to the game, to Trevor notably, seeing as he's the one who says Nazca Nazca. As I'm sure you will know, Trevor has a tattoo around his neck that says "cut here." I just want to point out that the Nazca and the Inca, which is a population that followed the Nazca, so basically in the same territory, they were well known for cutting heads off and offering them up as a trophy to their gods, which were mainly water gods, because it's important to note as well that they lived in one of the driest regions on Earth. So it's very hot, very dry, and they had very little water, which basically most of their gods, including a monkey spirit, etc., were water gods, and all they pretty much did was pray for water. But they didn't just do that, they also built aqueducts, which are underground irrigation systems, which allowed to supply their desert region with enough water so that they could produce food, agriculture, etc. But coming back to it, another one of their rituals was to basically, well, this again is more or less hypothetical because scientists don't all agree on what the Nazca and the Inca were all about. But one of the most common beliefs is that the Nazca actually walked on the lines of the drawings in a ceremonial fashion to also pray for water. So not only did they cut off heads and mummify them and give them as offering to the gods, they also walked the paths, which I want to point out is kind of a correlation to what we know about hitchhiking and certain links we've got about paths and all those sorts of things there. But more importantly, I'm just gonna go ahead and show you here what I mean about this. And there's a reason I haven't spoken about this yet. It's because I haven't got a map, and I'm hoping that I will have one pretty soon. But I'd just like to note that when Rockstar brought out the GTA 5 manual, I don't know if you can see this here, it includes a map of Los Santos and Blaine County. Now I want you to look at the three peaks. These are basically mountain peaks right here. So you can see mountain peaks. I want you to understand that there is Orion's belt. Now for those of you that are looking for constellations in the sky, this is what I was trying to build up on about perspective. Change your view. The Nazca, another belief about their so-called Nazca lines, is that they were depicting star charts, constellations. So what was in the sky was printed onto the ground. I'd like you to note as well that the pyramids in Egypt line up to Orion's belt. Now I want you to Google this. The reason I haven't gone into this, I'm pretty sure I'm right, but I haven't actually got the map with the scale that I need to make out the measures to see if I am correct. But I want you to understand that when you use the map on this particular manual, it points out landmarks. And across the world, ancient populations, which we're linking up with all sorts of religions, whether it be Christianity, the Nazca, whether it be, I don't know, they're all ancient. And every ancient religion and population depicted stars and star formations on the earth. Now you can feel free to look it up for yourselves, check it out, see if you can find others. I haven't quite had the time to look into this further, but Orion's belt, there you have it. Right, so for our next stop, I just want to quickly point out something about the Inca, which I mentioned just a second ago. The Inca, as far as I know, came about 500 years after the Nazca and more or less in the same region. And I'm not too sure what to make of it just yet, but I wanted you to see the Inca banner, or the Inca Empire's banner, or how it's depicted today, because There are uncertainties about this, but I just want you to note the parallel snakes, the red, the gold, the green, and also pay attention to that little thing in the middle there, which resembles also a bell or maybe something that would hang off a curtain. But yeah, I thought that was important to point that out. Now also, the Inca are supposedly responsible for constructions that to this day, kind of like the pyramids, aren't really replicable and are quite difficult to explain. The reason being that they're huge rocks that are fitted together with laser precision. You couldn't even fit a razor blade between them. But modern day culture in Peru, when they state their religion and their stories, it says that they basically mention the original builder, and that in ancient days a great cataclysm which reduced men to the level of beasts, a being came from the south with superhuman powers, and he founded a new civilization teaching men science, agriculture and arts. He taught men to live in harmony, animated by a spirit of altruism. So there you have another link towards Trevor in game and the altruists. And I want you to look up what altruism really is and the different dualities of altruism. Okay? I want to point out as well that for people who are building theories on catastrophes and disasters, etc., this also has a connection to the Nazca, but the modern day city of Nazca, which is located in Peru. And there are a couple of things I want to point out about this city, and the first one is that in 1996 an earthquake almost completely destroyed the city. It's basically rebuilt now. It took about 12 years to completely rebuild it, and that was the picture of the square garden that I showed you, and you can still see on the right hand side of the screen there. The second interesting point that I wanted to make is that since 1997, so 1 year after the cataclysm, a major Canadian gold mining operation located itself there, displacing the Nazca inhabitants who did not own the rights to their land. Several attempts have been made for the Nazca people to be able to regain name of their land, but as far as I know, it's been to no use of them, and the Canadian Gold Mining Company is still leeching off of this land. So I thought that was important to point out, also Trevor being Canadian. I'm doing my best not to complicate things too much here, so I'm going to choose to stop a little bit on the information about the Nazca for the moment and come back to that in a future video. But what I'm going to do for this part is I want you to take a look at this screenshot, and it's basically of a signpost that's found in game, and I want to make a connection to Wispy's previous video. I believe it was understanding, or I can't exactly remember the title, that's pretty bad of me. My memory's going, guys, I really do apologise. Let's check it out. What video was it? Drum roll please. It was Patience and Trust. So in Wispy's video, Patience and Trust, he gives us a little bit of insight as to what's going on inside our characters. And towards the end of the video, he pointed out that there are going to be paths that are going to lead to unlocking what's inside. And I completely agree with him on that. And for once, I am going to share one of my theories, and I want to hear your opinions on this, because I believe it's a good theory to be going on. Is it going to be a theory we can repeat in the same manner? I don't think so. I think this is the only one of its kind. I think the others are going to be hidden in different ways. But basically what you're looking at here on the signpost is a bride, and she's got a knife right through the heart. Now basically it's a lottery signpost, and the whole joke is that if you win the lottery, what you're going to do is stab your wife and run away to God knows where with all the cash. But I believe this is one of the clues towards Trevor and the altruists, and I wanted to point out that there is a runaway bride random event where you can actually take the bride to the altruist camp, and I believe that this particular signpost is indicating for us to do that. And why? Because one, they've chosen to put a knife through her heart, and that is kind of sacrificial in as far as symbolism goes. it would be done with a blade or some sort of blade. I also want to make the connections about the gloves and the money. I know it's not very concrete, but it kind of makes me think about Trevor. It kind of makes me think about his kind of attitude with the gloves particularly. Now, also another point of view I want to point out is that as far as religion goes, this is sin. This is depicting a man who wants to leave his wife, or if you reverse it and look at the situation of the runaway bride, she's trying to run away from her husband, and as far as Christianity goes, that's a sin. Once you're married, you're done. There is no such thing as divorce. So depending on who Trevor really is and what his purpose really is and what his path is, in my opinion, as far as Christianity and sin goes, I believe she is one of the people that we have to sacrifice. So I just wanted to point that out there. So, to finish off today's video, what I want you all to look at is a short clip of Trevor and the friend, which is basically just an NPC that shows up as a blue dot on the map, Jesse. Now, Jesse is known as GTA's representation of Jesus. And what's interesting is, now I'm only going to show you the clip with Trevor, but I'm just going to point out before I play it, that if you do this reenactment with Michael or Franklin, so if you do this with Michael or Franklin, Jesse's response will basically be that he loves his father, he pretty much gets on with him. So if you look at him as Jesus, who the game is depicting him as, his father would then be God. So basically, when you do this with Michael and Franklin, he has a pretty positive response as to what he thinks about his father. Now, interestingly enough, if you actually play this little scene out with Trevor, he's got a completely different view on his father. So we're just going to play the clip now.
It's like a crazy mind fuck, and then death. Well, I mean, that's like a crazy.
Hey, what are you doing?
I mean, it's like, Dad, what the fuck? Where are you?
Know what you mean?
No, I mean, like, I'm going in for answers, and he's like, nothing. And I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't sign up for this.
Oh, man. Fast.
No, that's not that. I really like him. It's just that's the thing. That's the thing.
You okay? Okay.
Totally. Man, word up, homie. It's all good, dog.
Right. So he basically points out that he's asking his father for answers, but he's not getting them, and he's quite frustrated about this. And Trevor goes on to say, I know what you mean. What I need you to understand is that if you were going to look at Trevor as the Antichrist or anything like that, this is a good representation of this, because as what we know of the devil, Satan, the Antichrist, Lucifer, all of them, is that they manipulate the good into seeing evil. And what I was trying to point out when Michael and Franklin do this, the reaction that Jesse has is perfectly fine, but suddenly when Trevor shows up, his reaction is influenced by Trevor's personality and who we see Trevor as being. And also, I wanted you to see this as well, is basically one of the altruists, and what you can see is Jesus Christ with the crown of thorns, and also a few flowers and roses around him. And again, I'm going to leave the door open, I'm going to come back to this later, and I'm going to answer maybe a question that a lot of you are asking yourselves, is why am I so vague? Why am I so hesitant when I'm making these videos? Is it because I'm struggling to speak, or is it because I'm unable to put across my ideas? No, not at all. It's because I want you to make the connections. The ones of you that have actually seen all of my videos, and you come back and you check in frequently and you're interested and watch the video all the way through, for you lot, I want you to make the connections by yourself. I don't want the connections to be made by me, because this is my opinion at the end of the day. And I'm hoping and that's why I put Unity in my first video. And if any of you lot watched the documentary Extraction of Unity, you understand what I mean by I'm not going to solve this by myself. Wispy Woods is not going to solve this by himself. None of us are going to get the glory of solving this by ourselves. This has to be a team effort. We have to get multiple views on what's going on, different perspectives. And that's why I said as well in the beginning of the video, if people want to come at me with constructive criticism and tell me that in their opinion there's nothing left to be found, that's fine, we can have a discussion about that. But that's why I'm discarding ignorant, childish little people. You're going to come at me and tell me they're pathetic, and I'm also going to discard a lot of people. Maybe not quite so much a lot of people, but there are some people, I'm not going to state any names because I'm not about spreading hate on anyone, but there are a couple of YouTubers who are beginning to push my buttons. They make certain statements. Now I want them to understand, because I know they're going to know who they are, but I want them to understand that their statements, before they make them, they should read them through. Because stupid shit like, you guys are pissing me off because you're not solving this mystery. I'm sorry, that's arrogant. Fuck yourself. Now, I'm sorry, I don't usually swear, I don't like to get lost in my emotions, but I feel it's relevant that for once we all come together, put our minds together, understand what's being shown, understand what's being depicted, and maybe, just maybe, come to a conclusion, and maybe, just maybe, get ourselves something cool like a jetpack or something else, because as far as I'm concerned, I could give a fuck about a jetpack. I said it in the beginning of my video, I enjoy doing the videos, I enjoy hunting for mysteries, period, whether it be in GTA or life itself. For those of you who are interested in other mysteries than GTA, check out The Curse of Oak Island, for example. There's a real life mystery that will get you thinking. I like all sorts of stuff like that, and this is why I'm spending my personal time to make these videos, to bring this information to you. And that's why I've taken the time in this particular video to say certain things about certain people who think they can come at me with ignorant comments. You're barking up the wrong tree. Stop it. You won't like the result. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check in next time. I'll try and make something a little bit more GTA focused. I know I went a bit off track, it wasn't my intention. But for today I'm just going to leave it there. And I hope you enjoyed the footage, so take it easy and see ya.